Waitress is fired for helping old man drenched in rain becomes heiress to his property later. How many times has it occurred to you that helping a poor-looking oldie makes you a millionaire? Sounds hypothetical, right? But wait until you hear this story of a waitress, because she assisted an elderly guy who was drenched in the rain to wait out the storm in the restaurant, a poor waitress who was fired from her only source of income. One day she receives a touching surprise and a 100-fold return for her goodness. This is the story of Arya, a 22-year-old young, beautiful waitress who is far from her home in a hope of making a better future for herself and her family. She noticed a gradual tapping, followed by a pattering on the large window one day as she was busy serving customers. The people outside hurried for cover as a black cloud spat droplets of rain, and an elderly man, wet to the skin, walked into the restaurant. Arya grew concerned about him getting sick because he was so wet, and she said, "Sir, this way, please." She directed the 70-year-old Franklin to take a seat by the window. The other diners grumbled when they saw Franklin enter, despite Arya's exceptional service. They assumed he was a beggar who was on the go. The customers scowled and covered their noses in response to Franklin's entrance. Arya was watching them all. She realized that the other customers were disgusted by the old man, and she gently instructed him to enter the kitchen through the back door after feeling bad for him and stopping him from getting to the window seat right away. "Do you mind entering through the alternate exit we have in the kitchen, sir? The floor has just been mopped and it will get wet all over again." "Yes, miss, sure." As soon as Franklin entered the kitchen, Arya handed him a towel so he could dry off. She then handed him a bowl of hot soup and an old blanket to protect him from the chill. Franklin sighed and said, "Thank you so much, miss." Arya could tell he was cold as the old man made a wheezing sound and shuddered. "I'm happy to help, sir. Is there anything else I can get you?" "Thank you, miss, but no. Evidently the rain has subsided and I'm running behind schedule now, so I must leave. Once more, I want to thank you." Before leaving, the old man asked the waitress what her name is and said, "You're a kind girl, Arya. I'm Franklin, and I will remember you." Arya thanked him for his kind words and directed him out of the kitchen. Arya's supervisor burst in furiously as Franklin left the kitchen. He had received negative feedback from one of the regular customers for allowing a wayfarer inside. After seeing everything, the manager shouted at poor Arya for bringing the elderly man into the kitchen. As the other employees gathered around him and turned their attention to Arya, he yelled, "How dare you bring a beggar inside the kitchen?" "Pardon me, sir. I really am very sorry." The poor man, however, was completely wet and defenseless. Besides, you should never ever look down on someone or make snap judgments about them based solely on their appearance, since your eyes can fool you. "Do you believe this to be a shelter for beggars and old people?" The manager yelled even louder. Arya froze in place, powerless, scared, and helpless. She didn't know what to do. The worst part is that none of her coworkers offered to support her. "You are fired. Get out of my restaurant right away." "Please refrain from doing this, sir. I must have this job. I need to buy medication since my mother is ill and I have to care for her." Before allowing that stray inside, you ought to have given it some thought. Now leave immediately and do not return. Arya left the restaurant in tears after experiencing such humiliation because she could not stand it. But she was even more hurt by the fact that no one seemed to recognize her generosity. Franklin unexpectedly intervened as she was leaving the restaurant while sobbing. "I was aware of everything, miss. I heard what happened to you. Don't let yourself wallow in sadness, though. Perhaps there was a reason why this occurred. Something good is on its way. Trust me." In exchange for Arya's generosity, Franklin comforted her and made her an incredible offer. The first thing Franklin said was, "I believed people had forgotten to be polite to one another. However, I have since revised my mind in light of today's events. Your kindness, miss, has shocked me. I'm very sorry I was the reason you lost your job, but I have a better option for you. Do you mind taking care of me instead? Franklin, it turned out, was a rich businessman who operated a 5-star hotel in a nearby city. He had come to the city to see a customer when he was robbed on his way to the hotel. He didn't have enough cash to call a cab, and it had begun to storm heavily. He encountered Arya at that point after entering the restaurant to wait out the storm. "What do you say, miss? Will you accompany me and stay in my apartment in the city? Nobody lives with me, and it's been a long time since my wife passed away. I don't have any kids. Maybe you might look after me like your father." Arya was shocked at this, and she didn't know what to say. She stood still. Franklin recognized her vague expressions and handed Arya his business card. "Well, take your time and let me know what you decide." After saying this, Franklin left. A door closed for Arya, but at the same time, another door opened for her. After giving it some serious thought for a week, Arya decided to say yes. She was forced to make this decision since she needed money to take care of her mother. Arya finally moved in with Franklin and took care of him as a father. After a very long time, she actually felt happy. She didn't need to put in the same amount of effort or extra time as she did at the restaurant. Franklin did not think of her as his caretaker. Rather, he treated her like his own daughter. Then one day, when Arya discovered Franklin dead in his bedroom, all of her happiness soon came to a crushing deadlock. He had passed away while sleeping, and Arya couldn't believe it. She rushed Franklin's dead body to the hospital, only to find that the poor old man suffered a silent heart attack. She started crying, hugging Franklin's dead body. "What will I do without you? Like your daughter, you showed me love. How will I survive without you? I'm nothing alone." Arya kept sobbing during Frank's funeral. His business associates and pals were the only ones present. The deceased Franklin had no family, so Arya managed things as if she were his daughter. When the phone rang after Franklin was laid to rest, Arya was just about to pack her things and leave the property. Arya had no idea how one phone call would alter the course of her life forever. "Miss Ludwig, are you there?" "Hello, yes. May I have your name, please?" "Greetings, Miss Ludwig. I'm Mr. Brown's attorney, Charles. Can you please come and visit me at my office today? It's work-related stuff and it's important. I've messaged you my address." Later the same day, Arya met the attorney who had previously read Franklin's will. The realization that she was the only heir to her late boss's inheritance rendered her speechless. Aside from his last dime, Franklin had left Arya everything. The moment the attorney gave Arya Franklin's final letter, tears of delight and thankfulness poured down her cheeks. "Since my only motivation for living was to accumulate cash, I felt lonely. But once you arrived, Arya, I never felt alone, and you spoke to me as if I were your father. The family I never had was given to me by you. I wish you and your mother a long and contented life." Former waitress Arya, who had been fired from her position for showing kindness, was now the manager of a posh 5-star hotel in the city. Arya always showed kindness to others despite her newfound wealth, and she specifically took care of all the waiters and waitresses and treated the entire staff like family. Now she didn't have to worry about her mother's medications, as her kindness made Arya a multi-millionaire. So we learn from the story that a little act of kindness can give us big, unexpected rewards, and that you should never ever look down on someone or make snap judgments about them based solely on their appearance, since your eyes can fool you. With that being said, we come to the end of this video. What if you were in the position of Arya? Would you still help the old man? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and share it with your friends. For more amazing stories, stay tuned and don't forget to show kindness.